Good evening and welcome back to our weekly question and answer series for anash.org. Question: can one say the Aleph base before saying Bרכת? Likewise, can I lull my baby back to sleep in middle of the night, early morning with an Aleph base song if I didn't yet say brachos? Yes, if you washed your hands already, you could say Aleph base and sing the Aleph base, even if you didn't say Bרכת and brachos. Since you washed your hands, you could say it. Question: Can a glow-in-the-dark pacifier be used on Shabbos and Yom Tov? No problem to use it on Shabbos and Yom Tov. You don't do anything, and it glows through chemicals or paint, whatever it should be. You don't do anything, and yes, you could use it Shabbos and Yom Tov. Question: I'm starting to work out of the house, and I have a steady cleaning lady that comes several times a week. Can I allow her to come in while I am away? She knows exactly what needs to be done. Can she clean my kitchen? This is a very important question, and people do not know that it is a big problem. Because if she knows that you left the house for a while, it is a problem that she should stay at your home again alone, because she might use the kitchen, she might use your pots and pans, and even if he's told her that she cannot use them, it doesn't help. They're using it. And there's such a thing in Allah as yichid kailem. Same as there's a problem of yichid between a man and a woman, the same is there's a problem of a goy should be yichid in a house alone, in a Jewish house, in Jewish kalim. If she doesn't know that you left for a while, she's afraid every minute you could come in, then it's not a problem, because she has mirsas. She's afraid to do something and use something because you might come in and see and catch her while she's doing that. But if she knows that you are at work, or you told her I'm leaving for 2 hours, it is a big problem that you should leave her alone. One option to do is you could shut off the gas line, so therefore she won't be able to cook in the stove because there's no gas. But that's not a solution if you have a microwave, because she could use the microwave and make you thrive the whole microwave. As I was told with a story today that it was published this week in Monsey, that a person writes that he had people coming in to install some appliances, and the guy warmed up in front of her his sandwich in the microwave, and it's an unkosher sandwich in a microwave, and she happened to be to see it, and she asked her, what's going on? I said, what's wrong? I want to have a warm sandwich. So we see they do whatever they want, and they don't listen, and therefore you have a serious problem. So shutting off the gas in today's day, when people have microwaves, it's not an option. The only thing which I feel could be an option is installing a camera in the kitchen, and she should know, the cleaning lady should know that you have a camera and you're watching it when you're out of your house. And you should watch it from time to time to see Taka that she's not doing anything stupid, because they keep on constantly doing all these kind of things. And a while ago, they went around a clip of also a cleaning lady in a Jewish house when nobody is at home. She cooked something for herself, and she poured in milk in a meat pot, and then she washed it and she put it back, So therefore, yes, it's a big problem. She knows that you leave the house for a while. You cannot leave her at your house. She should clean only if you have a camera, which you could watch and look in the kitchen what she's doing. And if you did leave a non-Jewish cleaning lady in your house without a camera, and when she would know that you were away all day, you should ask your moire ruah how to go about regarding the kelim. Question: when a minyan is davening and there's a chosen, does the need to be part of the minyan in order for them not to say tachnan, or as long as he is in shul, even if he is sitting learning, that's enough, that the minyan should not say tachnan? And the answer is, as long as the person, the chosen, sits in the shul, even though he doesn't daven, the minig is that that minyan do not say tachnan. Continuing the question, what happens if a person went ahead and started saying tachnan and didn't realize that there's a chosen, and then people start screaming there's a chosen? What should he do? Should he finish tachnan or should he stop? And we elaborated this answer in Shir number 39, about 3.5 minutes, and you can see over there what we discussed, what the solution you should do. It shouldn't be a bruchal of a tula. Question: is it Chabad meaning to dispose of water when someone is nifter? When someone dies in your house, in the house, is it the minig that you should dispose all the water which is in the house? And the answer is yes. It's Chabad minig. It's brought down. Alter Rebbe brings it down in Shulchan Aruch, Simar Ishvov, Sifi Dalet. So yes, it's a minig which is mentioned in Shulchan Aruch, and that's the minig. So the question goes further. If so, how far away must the nifter have been? And the answer is 3 neighbors. That means if a person lives in a building, let's say with a couple of floors, so if 2 neighbors on top and 1 on the bottom, that's enough. And the neighbors on the side do not need to do it. Or the neighbors on the side and not on the top. It has to be 3 neighbors that they should dispose the water if the nifter was nifter at home. But if it was nifter in a hospital, so then we don't dispose the water at all. So therefore this whole shayla is not that much common, because most people today they die in a hospital, so that's not the minig. But if it happens to be that a person was nifter in a house, 3 neighbors should dispose the water. Now the question goes on, what if the person was nifter on Shabbos? Shabbos, you don't dispose the water. Shabbos, you don't have to discard this water. And not only Shabbos, any water which you prepared Friday, L'kuvet Shabbos, you don't need to throw it out and dispose it. This is what Reb Kiva Eiger in Yerdaya Sima Shil Amates brings down in Aguziyat Shul over there, Shil Amates, that if it has to do Shabbos or Yom Tov, you don't dispose the water. Where do you dispose the water? In a regular sink, you could spill it. You don't have to dispose it outdoors. And the final of this question is it only for uncovered water, or also bottled water, or seltzer, or food? And the answer is, it's only water, regular water, which is uncovered. If it's covered, you don't need to dispose it. If it's cooked, you don't need to dispose it. If it's mixed together with other things, you don't need to dispose it. Or it's soda, you don't need to dispose it. Only plain water which is uncovered you have to dispose. This is what the Pacifier writes in Yerdai Simekiv Gimel, in Marsha Mechali Gimel Shin Ein Hai. In other points can write that only regular water which is uncovered, and not if it's mixed together with other things or it was cooked. Question: I by mistake made the bracha of hamoitzi lechem in ha'uretz instead of the bracha al natilas yadayim, what should I do? Can I still make the bracha al natilas yadayim afterwards or not? The Mokdem Avruam and Simon Kifni Ches Sifkuten Tezayin brings a marshal in Yam Shloime, which the marshal says, if a person made a berachas hamoitzi, he cannot say an natilas yadayim anymore. That means like this: the lacha is, you wash your hands, and before you dry your hands, you make the natilas yadayim. But if you dried already the hands, you could still make natilas yadayim. But if you said the berachas hamoitzi, the Mishtabrire in Simon Kifni Ches Sifkut Mem Dalet brings out the marshal that once you say the moitzi, you don't make any more natilas yadayim. Why is it that after after we wash the hands, we make the bracha natilas yadayim after you wash the hands? Because there are times when you cannot make the bracha before because your hands are not pure. It's not. It's tumah. So therefore, we first wash the hands and we make the bracha after you wash the hands. But you make the bracha before you dry it. Why? Because al pi halacha you have to dry your hands too. It's part of the mitzvah of natilas yadayim. So since you're making the bracha al natilas yadayim before you dry the hand, it is still considered oivelas yusam, because we know every mitzvah the bracha has to be made before you do the mitzvah. But in our case, if you wash your hands before and you make the bracha afterwards, it's not oivelas yusam. So the poskim write that since nigev is part of, that means nivig means drying your hands is part of the mitzvah, so therefore you could wash your hands, don't dry your hands, and after you make the natilas yadayim, you make shifshuv, you rub your hands together and you wipe it, and that's fine. But the Remo says, even if a person forgot and he dried his hands and he forgot to make the bracha al natilas yadayim, he could still make the bracha al natilas yadayim, because since this whole bracha was made in a way that you cannot do it before you do the mitzvah, although we made the hachrua that you should do it in the middle of the mitzvah, that means after washing, before shifshuv and drying your hands, if a person forgot and he dried his hands already, he could still make the bracha al natilas yadayim. So comes the marshal and says that's only after you dry your hands before you say a moitzi. But if you did say a moitzi already, that means you started already the suda, then you have a problem. You cannot make a moitzi anymore. The Bir Alucha over there in Simon Kifni Ches, Divra Maschel Mavuraich, writes, look what I wrote in Mishnah Berurah, which I brought down the marshal, that once you made the berachas hamoitzi, you cannot make any more al natilas yadayim. And he adds on that if a person made hamoitzi before he dried his hand, since he's still in the middle of doing the mitzvah of natilas yadayim because his hand is still wet, so he didn't finish yet the mitzvah of natilas yadayim, even though he said the berachas hamoitzi, he could still make al natilas yadayim, because the marshal only said that you after hamoitzi you shouldn't say al natilas yadayim. It's only after you said hamoitzi, you forgot to make the bracha al natilas yadayim, and you sat down to make the hamoitzi, and you want to start eating. So then it says after you eat the gazais, you could still say you cannot say al natilas yadayim because you started already the suda. The natila is over. So the Mishbari writes that since in a case which a person did not forget to make al natilas yadayim and he reminded himself only after he started the suda, in a case when a person made hamoitzi by mistake before he wiped his hands, since he is not yet finished of wiping his hands so he's not yet finishing the mitzvah of Al Natilas Yadayim, so he can still make a bracha Al Natilas Yadayim. So in our case, in our shaila, which this person asks, he made it by mistake. He made a moitzi lechem menuras instead of Al Natilas Yadayim. According to the Mishnah Berurah and the Bir Halacha, he has no problem saying Al Natilas Yadayim afterwards, because since the moitzi was still in the middle of doing the whole natila, because he didn't wipe his hands yet, he can still make the Al Natilas Yadayim afterwards. But the Alter Rebbe, according to the Alter Rebbe, you cannot make any bracha. The Alter Rebbe writes, he brings down the halacha that when a person washes his hands with the revis, with a full revis, with a full quart of water, then mitzad halucha he does not need to wipe his hands. If a person washes his hands less than the revis, then nigaf, wiping the hands, is part of natilas yadayim. If a person washed his hands with the revi'is, mitzad halacha, he does not need to dry his hands, because the water on his hands are pure. It's not tuma anymore. And he writes, other poskim say that even if you wash your hands with the revi'is, you should still wipe it, dry it. That you should be machmer kidivrayim. That means mitzad halucha, I hold that once you washed with the revi'is, you don't need to dry your hands. But since there are poskim which say that you have to dry your hands even if you have revi'is, so it's kedai, you should be machmer and also dry your hands. Aber me'ikra din, you don't need to dry your hands. So that comes out according to the Alter Rebbe. Once you finished washing your hands with the revi'is, even though if you didn't wipe your hands, you didn't dry your hands, you finished already the natila. It's finished. Now, if you said now the Al Natilas Yadayim, if you said now the Hamoitz Lechem Menuretz, it is as if you started already the Suda. So you cannot say any more Natilas Yadayim. The Mishnah Berurah paskins lo the poskim who say that there is a chiyuv to dry your hands after washing your hands to bread, even if you wash with the revi'is, because he paskins that drying hands is part of the natilas yadayim in any case, even if you have a revi'is. So therefore he could be lenient that after, if you made hamoitzi before drying your hands, you can still make natilas yadayim afterwards. But since the Alter Rebbe holds me'ikra din, once you wash your hands, the natil is over. So therefore, if by mistake a person made a brucha hamoitze lechem menuretz instead of al natilas yadayim, even when his hands is still wet, he cannot say anymore the bracha of al natilas yadayim, and he could eat regular the challah without saying the bracha. Question: liquid left in metal overnight is dangerous to drink. What about canned drinks, soda, etc.? The Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Choshe Mishpat Hilchas Shmiras Hagiva Nefesh Siv Zayin writes that you shouldn't drink mashkem mezugim, water which is nizig geworden with other things, with wine, which was uncovered, which was in a overnight in a bottle or a can, which is from metal. And he puts in parentheses not only mashke mezigim, regular mashke also. That means any water and any liquid which was overnight in a metal can, you should not drink. This is what Alter Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch. Now the Rebbe in Agir HaKodesh Chaylik Bais Umat Kif Mem Dalet was asked this question: how come people nowadays drink all kind of soda, water, seltzer, which is in metal cans, and it's overnight, and we are not makbet of this Alter Rebbe. And the Alter Rebbe, in the Rebbe, answers that we know there's such a thing as Kiv Nedushi Barabim Shomer Pesoim Hashem, which means a thing which is a skona, and people disregard this skona, and they keep on doing it. So Men HaShamayim, they watch them, and nothing will happen. This is a Gemara, which the Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos, in Omad Kif Chuf Tes, Omad Beis. There's also a Chiv in Tzemach Tzedek about that. And the Rebbe adds on, especially a thing which is dangerous, a Tivi's Dige Skona. So, therefore, we say such a thing, even Hashem, and especially in this thing which is not a Tivi's Dige Skona, it is a Zgila Dige Skona. So, we say for sure, Kim de Dushe Barab, Shem Psoim Hashem, and it's as if that there is no more skon anymore. So, so the Rebbe ends up that that's why people are not makbet today's day, because since people disregard this skona, and it's a zguladig skona, Shem Psoim Hashem, that means the Rebbeinu Shalom will watch us. And the Rebbe finishes up that after we have this halacha that Shomer Pesoim Hashem, even a Talmud Chacham could rely on it. So, to answer your question, according to Chazal, according to the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, we would have a problem with drinking liquids which is in a canned metal container, bottle, etc. But since the people are not makbet and they disregard this skona, we say Shomer Pesoim Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom will watch us, and the Rebbe says even a Talmud Chacham could rely on it. So therefore we are lenient today, and we drink all this kind of liquid which is overnight in a metal can. Okay? Thank you for joining us, and please join us next week again, and send in your questions to inbox@anash.org. Good night, and have a wonderful week.